and in today's video, we're going to be looking at where to spend your money. Now, this one is an interesting question because I was doing my thing last night, hanging out in the spirit realm, and the spirit guide that I work with predominantly when I'm working with tarot popped up. And I said, I have a request for the video you're going to be working on tomorrow. I said, okay, of course. And they said, I want you to do this question. I said, all right, may I ask why? And they said, this will be a year of great fortune and misfortune for like the general public. And by having this conversation, you can prevent misfortune. Because they said the misfortune for some is preventable. And that this, remember, money is our friend. It's our friend. You are a money magnet. Money comes to you easily. And this is to help not only prevent, misfortune, like we were talking about, but to have a great time and turn something that's a positive thing into an even greater experience involving lots of positive opportunities and growth and happy memories and all that positive jazz. So we're going to be going over that today in today's video. I also want to remind you that I have a new intuition course and a tarot course. You can use the intuition course to go to the spirit realm and talk to your spirit guides. And I talk about how to practically implement your intuition in order to grow and understand you and the world around you. But also tarot comes into play with that as well, which is why both of them are such a great pairing together. But both of those are there, awesome courses. And also, I always like to keep you guys updated on whatever new stuff I put on my Patreon. It is filled with a lot of videos. So I just posted some on why I haven't been speaking about angels lately, parallel lives, and I actually got a lot of information from an angelic being, a message from Mother Owl. How do we remove blockages and filters that prevent us from receiving the whole truth, the information, that type of jazz? Explaining the general system of how spirit guides and angels and that whole functioning system, because there is a system in place, and also how vibrations come into play when communicating with any being from the spirit realm. This is not only when I'm talking about spirit guides, this is anything, and how I not only communicate verbally and with images, but also with vibrations and explaining that whole process. That's actually probably going to be very helpful for a lot of people who are like picking them up and they're not realizing they're communicating and receiving information. So that's there too. And finally, ghosts. The whole reality, my experiences. Yeah, we're going to be going over all of that. Anyways, let's go back to this tarot reading. As you can see, we have 4 groups in front of us. Group number 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to give you a moment to pick the group that you resonate with most. Now that you have, you can go down to the description where you can skip to your designated group and it's marked timestamp. Let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1. Let's look at where to spend your money by looking at the cards. We've got Virgo. Oh, wow. Okay. Now I understand why this topic was so important. We have 7 of Cups in reverse. 8 of Wands in reverse, King of Swords upright, and 7 of Swords upright. I'm already seeing here and here and here and here matching concepts. I'm pointing this out for anybody who's both interested, but also anybody taking my tarot course so you can better understand reading the cards. We're going to be going over all that today. So let me just get some more information from my spirit guide and look at the cards a little more, and then I'll go over everything. Okay, cool. So let's first start here with Virgo going on. So this is a very on the nose type of card. It straight up talks about delays and difficult advancement. So this is where we get our representation of potential misfortune. Don't freak out. Don't worry. We have solutions in here. It's not a big deal. We've got this. So my spirit guide talked about the imagery in this card. They said this other person is a boat at sea. And we look at the sea and the water representing this idea of like cosmic knowledge. And the way my spirit guide put it is they could potentially be drowning in insight. And I know that's like a weird concept to think about, but what it's talking about is that you have the potential to have a lot of opportunities, a potential to gain a lot of education on the subject itself, but it might become overwhelming and you could potentially get too into your head. It's almost like a problem of being too intelligent, and we're going to talk about how to not have that not happen in order to have a smoother sea, because the positive is that you are out to sea. When you are dipping into this cosmic knowledge, you are connected to this, everything seems to make a lot of sense. You are kind of in on it. Things don't feel like a mystery as to why you made money or why something went a certain way. And you have a lot of control and awareness of it. And it's very calming and a relaxing feeling. So you're out there. We're just making the seas a lot calmer. So how do we start that? Well, first we have these confirming cards. Like both of them are talking about the same concept and extending upon this. So first we have over here in the Seven of Cups in reverse talking about this needing to be a year where you're more decisive. Now my spirit guide was really specific. They said decisive in the way that when you go to spend and buy something for yourself, if you choose to do it, you're going to spend it. And that's it. You're done. You're not going to worry about, oh, well, was that the right choice? Should I not have done that? Did I spend too much? Maybe I should think about this. Stop. You spent it. Stop thinking about it. And if you hesitate because there's something in you that feels like maybe you're emotionally not ready to spend that kind of money, or you're thinking about all the things that you're looking over and that type of thing, and, you know, you're like hesitating in some way, which is fine. It's okay to hesitate. But when you decide, I don't think I'm going to buy that thing, my spirit guide said, then stop. Don't think about it again. Don't go back and forth pondering, well, maybe later. I don't know. Just push out of your mind. It doesn't mean you, hold on. My spirit guide's talking. Let me just make sure I get all the information. Oh, okay. I'm glad they said this. I was about to be like, oh, if you want to get it later. My spirit guide said, no. If you don't want to get that thing, it's out of your mind forever. You didn't want it. It's done. You're done. You're not buying it then. Move on. So the point, they didn't sound that harsh, by the way. So what I'm trying to say here is this is the year where you're choosing yes and no, and then leaving it at that and pushing it out of your mind and trying to remove emotions from the equation. So either you spend it and you enjoy what you did, and then if you didn't spend it, you're not remorseful. Now this idea gets continued on over here in the Eight of Wands, and it's got great subtext, I'm really happy to say. So in the Eight of Wands being in reverse, this is when there are the potential for opportunities, but they sort of kind of all suddenly stop at once, and it feels kind of like, what happened? What's going wrong? Like I felt everything was going my way, and now suddenly it's all not, kind of thing. Well, this is because if you look at the imagery with the two tigers, the two cute pink tigers fighting it out, this is again that symbolism of that inner part of you that could go, well, should I buy this thing? Should I not buy this thing? This back and forth conversation going in your head. And if there is too much room for like contemplation, as we talked about, that you're going to step away from, this back and forth sort of creates like a wall between you and these opportunities. However, when these two cute kitties are cuddling and getting along great, and by that we talked about being decisive and just kind of letting things be what they are, whether you enjoy something or don't enjoy something by spending that money, then we have a flooding of financial opportunity. That's what also additionally what my spirit guide confirmed, that when you have this on lockdown, this decisive way of approaching working with your money, then you are opening the floodgates this year for a lot of financial opportunities. I'm going to see if I can get a little more specific when they say that. Do you mean just like general cash flow? Opportunities to make more money. Okay, that's all they need to know. I was trying to see if it was like specifically a promotion or anything like that, but my spirit guide says it doesn't matter. It's not going to just be one thing. So get excited. This is like getting a promotion. Somebody randomly wants to give you $100. Suddenly you got an extra positive, like free thing, so on and so forth. So that's awesome. That's exciting. Now, over here, that sense of decisiveness continues, but these are the cards that are relating between each other. So with the King of Swords, it represents the idea again of somebody who's like really in control of their mind. They're very pragmatic. The theme overall with this reading is to not allow your emotions to dictate how you respond to working with your money in every way and getting more on a logic mindset. And again, this is somebody who, when they respond to an answer, it's quick, it's clear, it's done. They make a decision and they move on with it. But extending onto that knowledge, I was asking more questions from my spirit guide, and I said, well, does this have anything to do with educating themselves more of being aware of finances? And they said yes. So this would definitely be a year you want to become more aware of just like basic things, like, like your basic, like when we have money, like where does it go? What are you doing with it? Are you building some form of like retirement? Those type of things, like basic know-how and getting more evolved in educating yourself in that kind of way. But here's where it gets both reassuring and interesting. So my spirit said, if you notice with the sword that they have, the King of Swords has it, but isn't using it. They are not going to be put into a position this year where you're going to need to really rely on that knowledge because something, bad is going to happen. You're going to be totally okay. It's more that you have it and it's a reassurance internally into you and to the universe to say like, hey, I'm good. I'm safe. If I needed to use it, I'll use it, but I don't need to use it. So like, that's all good. So not only is it beneficial on multiple fronts, but it's one of those ways of, sometimes we do activities to like tell the universe, like when we're ready, when we're like abundant. This is like one of those subconscious activities you're putting out there to say like, I've got this, I'm on lockdown. So if that kind of like fear-based part of your brain starts to kick in, this would be your reassurance to like talk to that part of yourself to be like, don't worry, we got this, we know what we're doing. Moving on here, we have the Seven of Swords. So if you notice, we have the similar imagery of the mask. I know they're different masks, but my spirit guide was pointing out that they are meant to be the same similar imagery. So this is also sort of you educating yourself, and then this is over here with the Seven of Swords upright of you not telling anyone you're educated. So my spirit guide said, this is a really good time period not to tell anybody that you are doing this. The main reason why is because my spirit guide said that if you get into a conversation with somebody else, there's the potential for a lot of like fear mongering where they will want to flood your mindset with all of their own personal fears and be like, oh, but this or this and this, I heard this. And that's not really the headspace that's going to benefit you in any way and not going to help like advance you in any possible. It's just going to, again, we talk about removing emotions from the equation when approaching this. That's just going to like mess with your emotions. But also, it's about keeping it to yourself because even if the topic is more positive, sometimes when you talk about something too much, you're too focused on it. And the approach going on with this reading is gaining intelligence and awareness and decisiveness, but kind of like learning something or making a decision and then moving on. And then you spend the rest of your life enjoying it. You're meant to be enjoying this money that you're spending or receiving. Well, I'm happy to say you will be receiving. But that's it. Then you live your life. You move on. This is kind of like a side thing that is set in stone. Think of it as like you're hammering a nail into the house you built. You're not thinking about the nail anymore. It happened, you're happy, the house is good, you're moving on type of thing. So don't let somebody else make you start focusing on it so much, you start over analyzing it and then kind of not getting to enjoy the very house you built. So that's the main concept going on here. So I love that for you. A lot of positive, good stuff. Honestly, I know this is meant to make things better for you, but but it sounds like a more enjoyable way to live life. So I'm excited for that, for your opportunity coming in. I'm excited for your education. I'm excited for your better relationship with money as a whole. So love that. Anyway, if you enjoy this reading, please feel free to leave a comment, a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for our next group. Group number 2. Group number 2. Let's find out where to spend your money by looking at the cards. We have Leo. We have Temperance. We have the Moon upright. 7 of Pentacles upright. The Hermit upright. Oh, Leo is such a perfect card. This goes perfectly with everything else. Especially over here with the Temperance and the 7 of Pentacles. This is just a side note. This is one of the things that I never get sick of, and I just love so much about tarot. The more you become educated in the subject, and you're able to just kind of quickly off the top of your head recognize things and see the similarities and so on and so forth. I talk about this all in my tarot course, but it is so cool to see how you pull some cards and how they all perfectly run into one another, are supporting or have matching characteristics or similarities with the other, and they all just match each other perfectly, and you realize the harmony that's going on, and it gives an extra sense of confidence to as you're coming to conclusions with whatever you're seeing in the cards. It's just my favorite thing. I love it. I never get sick of it. So this is one of those cases where I'm noticing it quite a bit in the cards. So first, let's start off though. Let me just get 1 or 2 pieces of information more from my spirit guide, just to make sure I'm seeing 1 or 2 things. Okay. Let's do this. Let's first start with Leo. So this is about loyalty and about being loyal to where you put your money and then following that investment thoroughly. So this would be, I'm just going to move this a little bit. This is going to be mostly focused on the idea of inspired actions and being like, you know what, I really want to look into this further. So when we say investments, we're talking more about this idea of like maybe you want to learn a skill, or you want to buy clothes, or you want to have fun and get into this hobby more. So the investment would be buying things in order to support getting deeper into that path in life, or whatever that may be. And it's about being like, you know what, I'm inspired to get into chess. I think we all know why we all got inspired to get into that. And you get into chess, and then being like, okay, if I'm gonna pick this, I'm gonna buy a chessboard. And then following that through for quite some time, being like, okay, I'm gonna now buy some books on it and get really detailed about it, and continuing forward through just more than just the spontaneous, like, I think I'll try this out for a second. If you feel that pull and you want to try it out, keep sticking with it for some time in order to see the, benefits from it. And we're talking like, wait, I just want to double check with my spirit guide. Are we talking financial benefits? Financial and emotional benefits. Okay, nice. And my spirit guide was like, yes, you heard me correctly. That is awesome. That's fantastic. I love that for you. This is spectacular. But going forward, sorry, I'm not trying to have so much, I feel like I keep seeing it shaking, sorry. So I'm moving it around. So over here with the Temperance card, this is more, if you look at the water in the vases, like about to be the person, this is supposed to be representing this idea of you surrounding yourself and putting onto yourself clothing, specifically putting things that match what you truly vibe with and want to show off, whatever your inner personality is, to the fullest. Now, I think this is really interesting because with what we have over here imagery wise, especially with the pink in the background here, the pink on the person here, and then the pink on the wolf. So I want you to keep in mind going forward here. So this is definitely a good time period to invest in clothing, but you specifically want to do everything in your power to get clothing that really to the 10th degree matches what you're interested in, telling your inner truth, vibing as much as possible. If somebody saw you, they would immediately be like, oh, I know what you're into based on what you're wearing. You really want to no longer put that type of idea in the back of your head. Go think about what's your favorite band? Go see if there's a band t-shirt for that. Maybe you've always wanted to wear more colorful clothing. Speaking of which, more colorful clothing. Go buy that really colorful sweater. And if you don't know where it is, go find it. Stop settling for a plain t-shirt that doesn't say anything about who you are and is the safer option because you feel like you can wear it 10 more times. Buy the thing that you can only wear for 2 hours. Go have a good time. Now, moving forward with that, in the moon card, this is about following the investment and influence of others. Now, the way my spirit guide put it is saying that both of these wolves howl because they are compelled to, both by their relationship with the moon, but also with their relationship with each other. If one howls, the other does too. And it's sort of an instinctive and loyal type of mentality going on here. My spirit guide confirmed also that this would be a good time period to find somebody you really admire and love. This could be the way they dress, when we talk about that too, but maybe you enjoy their lifestyle or whatever, and this is a good time for you to invest into similar things that they invest in. So maybe, this could be anybody from, I'll be honest with you, I keep being shown over and over and over and again an image of somebody very close to you, an image of them sitting in your house. This could be maybe a parent or a family friend or something like that. But I'm just going to double check with my spirit guide. It can be maybe there's a celebrity you really admire or something like that. My spirit guide said, yes, it can be the other options, outside of your immediate, surroundings or family or something like that. But my spirit guide said, but go with your initial instincts. So just keep that in mind. So you're going to kind of find that person, and then you can, if you can just straight up ask them, or you just do a little research, what are they vibing and into? Example, a celebrity, maybe a celebrity got really interested in restaurants. You know what I mean? Maybe you can see should you go work in one? If you have the money, can you invest in one? Something like that. But it can also be they're just personal interests or hobbies and stuff like that. So that's another great place that you're going to be putting your money and be aware of too. And keep in mind, I'm not just talking about personal interests like clothes and hobbies. It can be the way they choose to approach working with their money too. But it's a pretty wide gamut of kind of anything. You're just kind of following, hey, I like that. What are they doing? I want to kind of mirror that. Now over here with the Seven of Pentacles, it's actually pretty similar to what's going on over here with the idea of your insides being outsides. My spirit guide said something really interesting that I love. They said, so we're more looking, rather than at the Seven of Pentacles, the traditional meaning, we're looking at the imagery of the beetles. So beetles and a lot of insects, I think pretty much every insect, keeps their skeleton. They have an outer skeleton as well as an inner skeleton most of the time, but we want to mostly focus on the idea of their skeletal system being on the outside of them. So the way my spirit guide put it is they feel protected. They feel like tough little bugs because their insides are outside. And this is all about that idea of what is important to you and then putting it around you. But while this directly talks about clothing, which I forgot to extend upon, I didn't continue on talking about the vases. I wanted to be clear about something. With the water in the vases, water usually represents cosmic knowledge. And there's this thing where you're putting onto your figure this cosmic knowledge inside you. And often we already know the truth of where we're going to go, who we are. And if you get really deep into meditation, you can just be tapped into infinite knowledge. And the water is the representation of like you're digging in deep into your inner truth, inner cosmic knowledge, and you're wearing it. It's very much a similar pattern over here, but while this represented clothing, this represents more like physical space. So we're talking about like, again, digging inwardly and being like, what are you down with? What have you always wanted to express? And then putting that environment. That's like finally making that investment and like buying that cute extra sofa couch cushion you've always wanted. Go buy that dream couch. You know what I mean? Put in the surrounding area around you. Like when you walk around the space that you reside in, is this your dream place? Is this the coolest thing you've ever, when you come home, is that the coolest place you've ever been to? Does that get you excited about coming home? So this would be like being like, no, I've always wanted to live into a giant pillow fort, and going out and buying a bunch of pillows and, you know, or figuring out some affordable way to put up a cute like tapestry and twinkle lights, whatever is your personal vibe. Maybe you really love like anime or something like that, and you're afraid to like talk about it with your peers or let other people know how into it you are, and just like living the full, you know, fantasy and going out and buying posters and putting it all over the walls and just like having a great time. So this is about putting your insides and putting them outside. But then finally, I want to talk about what's going on over here with the Hermit card. So sorry, I was just pausing because I thought I heard something. So the Hermit card is about the stars coming out of their lantern. So my spirit guide said, if you noticed that they are guided by the stars, not just the stars in general, but the association, like the stars coming out of the lantern are the representation of the stars existing in the sky. And my spirit guide said, as long as the stars exist in the sky, there will always be a way for them to navigate forward in their path. And my spirit guide said this is less about where to spend your money and more the sort of mantra you're going to have if you ever find you are giving into fear when it comes to money. So what we mean by this statement is if you have a moment where you're like, oh no, but I don't know if I'm going down the right way. I'm not sure if I'm like spending too much money. Am I doing this? Am I doing that? And you start to kind of get, you get concerned for whatever reason. This would be you pulling back and going, as long as I exist, we talk about stars in the sky, you existing, as long as I exist, then there will always be a future, because that money cannot exist. That money cannot be spent. That money cannot be received unless I exist. And you are just as like a pivotal truth, like an unmovable truth as the stars. You exist, the stars exist. Nothing's changing or moving them. Even if things the environment around you makes you think something will happen and change, it won't. As long as you exist, there will always be a future. And subtext is, if there's worry of like, what if there isn't a future? What happens next? When it comes to like when money and different things like that, not true. You exist, so will the future. So therefore the subtext is there will always be money to come in. So that's sort of like your mantra to stay into yourself, to restabilize yourself, and unless you get like too in your head and you're scared and you're worried and stuff like that. So very cool, right? The one last thing I wanted to point out was just the symbolism I was talking about before. I love the pink wolf. It makes me think about like you maybe potentially admiring somebody, because we talk about insides being worn outside, both in your physical environment and on you. This is like you like admiring that in somebody else, seeing maybe they have like a similar sense of style and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be that, but I did notice that similarity. And also there was like one last thing I was gonna say. Oh, pink. Pink is actually, in the spirit realm, a representation of freedom. It's like, when pink pops up, it's freedom. So notice all of the freedom in both the environment, inside you, in the people you admire. That's like the main theme going on here. Freedom. It's trusting in the process. It's being more vocal and outwardly with who you really are, and seeing that what you admire in other people as a good blueprint as to go forward, and a nice little mantra to rely on in case you ever find yourself giving into fear. So yay, get excited. I'm so excited for your future fortune. Have a great time. Feel happy and excited because the universe truly works in mysterious ways. Not that mysterious when you become more attuned with it, but you being so outwardly with your style and that benefiting you financially, that's something to take note of. Let that unfold as it will and get excited about all the benefits. Please leave a comment, a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for the next card group. Group number 3. Group number 3. Let's find out where to spend your money by looking at the cards. We have Gemini. Ooh, we have another Gemini. Awesome. Always wonderful. That shows us in our tarot course, if you're taking my tarot course, the importance of that sign because the Lovers is associated with Gemini. So we're going to be talking about that again. We have the Emperor. Oh, and we actually have an animal spirit guide here to help us. Just give me a moment. I'm going to listen to my spirit guides, including this animal spirit guide. Okay. Oh, okay. All right, let's get into this. Okay, this is definitely going to be a year where you re-look at the way that you approach moving forward, especially when it comes to any form of difficult circumstances. What I mean by that incredibly vague and ominous statement, it's a good thing, is that in the past, if these type of things were to pop up, you might have perceived them as obstacles or difficult or what may have you. And this is going to be a year where you realize there's no obstacles. There's never been any difficulty ever. And you will realize there's a whole different way of approaching it and climbing the mountain, so to speak. We're going to be coming back to that metaphor in a moment. That will make you realize, nope, everything's fine. It's not even an issue. Doesn't even get you upset. Doesn't even get you worried. Which will then propel you quicker into success, who doesn't love that? So let's first start talking about Gemini over here. Now this talks about the idea of perseverance. That's a big thing, just like mindset we're going to get into before we get into the practical applications of where to put your money. You're definitely going to make sure that as you move forward, if you feel like you're disconcerted or you're not, you're like, oh no, should I even go for it? Is it even worth it? That type of thing. You're going to keep moving forward. You're not going to get discouraged. This is a year of like putting dreams forward, moving forward with it, believing in the process and just sticking to it and not getting easily discouraged, but more looking for the solutions and the different way of approaching the path rather than letting it get into your head, because you're going to view the world and the way you approach pretty much everything in a totally different way based on we're just talking about finances here, but we're extending beyond that, which is really beautiful. So continuing on to that, this idea of perseverance is going to make more sense as we get over to the Emperor card. So again, we got Gemini repeated again, but my spirit guide wanted to specifically focus on the concept of mutability, because Gemini is a very mutable sign. So what's going to happen moving forward is they said that you should follow, my spirit guide said that you should follow where the money takes you. And I was asking more questions because I was like, well, what do you mean by that? And they said there are going to be opportunities that pop up that are going to put you in a position to spend money. Now, this could be anything from feeling like you were forced to make an investment you didn't realize you were going to need to make, which sounds very misfortunate. That's why I'm like asking extra questions. But it isn't. It's all adding up to something really positive you're going to be really happy with. But this could also be something popping up and being like, oh wow, like I really do want to buy that new, anything, piece of clothing, book, whatever. And when this opportunity presents itself, it's like putting you in a position to spend money. It's about being like, okay, I'll spend my money there. But when we talk about following where the money takes you. It's about then spending that money, and then once you receive that item, once you are then working with that new investment, that's going to put you in a new trajectory in your life. You're sort of on a subconscious level. Every time you're spending money, you're almost like putting a ticket that is getting you on a new train, on a new timeline version of yourself. So it's more than you just buying something and enjoying it. There's a new kind of avenue you're following with it. So this also can be things like it. Now, this is not a blanket statement at all, but this could be like an example when we talk about following the money. It's not just where to spend the money too. It's like, let's say the money is like your career, right? That's where you're getting a stream of money. It's associated with that idea. And your career puts you in a position where they're asking you to move. And you're like, well, I like my job. I want to keep doing my job. Following and trusting where the money takes you is being mutable enough to be like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the new place where my career is asking me to go. I like my job. I'm going to keep going with it. I'll go with it then. And it's the same thing of being like, okay, you bought a new book, and then once you're enjoying the book and it's taking you down a line of information maybe you didn't previously have, by following that information and going deeper into it, looking up more books into it, maybe taking a class on the subject, so on and so forth. Follow where the moments, so something's going to pop up, you're going to spend money, and then continue with that type of thing. And you're going to need to be mutable because these things are going to kind of pop up and they might not be within what you would deem on your schedule. It won't be misfortunate or inconvenient or something you should be fear-based. You just have to kind of learn to go with the flow and trust that it's kind of like, think of it this way. I'm not trying to ramble. I'm just trying to really, hit hard the point. Imagine when we talk about the idea of the investment being sort of like a ticket to a new timeline. It's like someone showing up and being like, okay, your new timeline's here and you're about to live your best life. And you're like, well, that sounds great, but like, I really want to finish this one idea. And they're like, no, you're letting go of that idea now. We're now over here. And you're like, oh, well, I mean, I'm excited, but I'm kind of caught off guard. It wasn't the right time. And they're like, too bad. Here's your ticket. The train's here. Let's go. And then that idea continuing on from one train station to the next. So you're just going to kind of go with the flow, follow where things go, and take a hold of these opportunities as they present themselves. And understand, if you get into any fear-based logic, that if you are forced to make an investment you didn't want to make initially, trust in it and understand that it will, in the long term, profit you. My spirit guide's confirming, saying it will. So just go with it. So anyways, going on. So we're reading this card specifically for the Ram head. As you can see, it's doubled here. And that is the spirit guide who popped up. Ram. I love that. So cute. So they were talking about the idea of, we're talking about the type of, goats and rams in general, but we're talking about the idea of when you see those type of like mountain goats and such that climb up, mountains that are like insanely steep, and their like little hooves are on those tiny little ledges, and they somehow make it up like 200 feet or 200 yards, and they're just climbing up these tiny little stamps, and you're like, oh my goodness, that is terrifying. Imagine this big steep wall acting as a blockage in your life. Something difficult, something not turning out the way you wanted it to. But we're not talking about disappointment popping up for you. We're talking about you being given opportunity, or maybe it appears initially like the opportunity isn't yours, and it appears that there is some form of wall. So the wall has all these tiny little ledges. And the way Ram was explaining it to me was that when the animal approaches climbing this wall, they don't even see the wall. They see all the tiny little ledges, and they don't even think about, oh my goodness, that seems really steep. That just seems like, it's barely going to work. It's going to fit. They just put their little hoof on the step, and then they climb to the next one, and they climb to the next one, and so on and so forth. So in the end, there's never been any obstacle for them. It's just another way they get around, and they're not bothered because they already know that they can. It's like someone being like, yeah, but if I step on that, I'm barely going to be standing on it. It's like, yes, but you will be standing on it. So therefore you will be able to get the next step, and so on and so forth. And so again, it goes back to the idea of perseverance and being mutable and like moving forward. And this is what I meant by you approaching life in a whole new way. And my spirit guide got more specific with this extension of this information of what Ram was saying. So they were saying you're going to have these moments where it seems like there's a wall in the way. And again, it does not mean because there's misfortune. It doesn't mean because all these obstacles are in your way. You're being given a chance to learn a really valuable life lesson that's going to dramatically positively affect you in the long run. And what that is that this wall pops up, metaphorically, and you're going to look for all the tiny little steps. And you're not going to worry about, so like, let's say example, maybe you're a fashion designer and you missed an opportunity to meet with this person you want to intern under, and so because you can't intern with them, you're kind of like you're not going to get to go to Paris. You wanted to go to Paris or whatever like that. But you did hear that fashion designer is going to be at this other studio. And if you could just real quickly show them a piece of your thing you've made, like a piece of item of clothing, you're going to change their mind. So you've only got maybe like an hour to put together a piece of clothing. And so to you, you're like, you know what? I know they said no initially. Their assistant said no, but I'm going to go make this piece of clothing. I'm going to show up at the place. And even if an hour is all I have, I'm going to make that piece of clothing. I'm going to show up to that place, see what they think, and see if I have another opportunity to still get the internship I was hoping for. It's like that concept. That would be a little ledge. You're barely standing on it. You barely had enough time to make clothing. It's kind of almost far-fetched that this could work out, but you're still going to do it and you're going to move forward with this. And because you're approaching every situation like that, soon you realize there's no longer obstacles or problems, but you just need to look for the next small little investment of either time, energy, money, and so on and so forth. But my spirit guide did say that it will be money-based. So example, you're spending the money to get the fabric to make the dress. Do you see what I'm saying here? You're spending the money, you feel it's worth spending money on the taxi to get to meet with the fashion designer to see if you can become an intern. So you're paying those little investments going forward. So that's the biggest thing you're going to invest in. I definitely want to point out how strong of a pull I feel with that one. So as you're moving forward and you ever notice something isn't completely going the exact way you want it, or you feel some sort of resistance or blockage obstacle, you're just taking it one tiny step at a time, and you're just having this perseverance and full trust in the situation and yourself. That's all you need. You just need one more step, and you will no longer see the walls anymore. You will just see a different way of approaching it. So as far as you're concerned, it's not, oh no, a wall. It's like, oh, well, I'll just approach it this way. So it's not an issue. So there's no wall. So I'm always going to get what I want. So everything's going to work out great. So I can totally trust myself because I'm worth it and I am capable. So as you can see, feel a lot of confidence, like a great life lesson to learn. It's going to be awesome for you. Moving on. Queen of Wands. My spirit guide only wants me to focus on the imagery down here with the skulls with the snake on top of it. I thought it was a hat. My spirit guide's like, it's not a hat. So the snakes. So snakes actually, as animal spirit guides, often represent somebody receiving some form of like medicine or treatment. And we're focusing on the idea of it protecting the head. That's how my spirit guide put it. It says they're being protected by this. So you're going to really make investments over this year of how you can entreat that part of yourself. Now, that can be through finding some form of stability and feeling like you're no longer being consumed by like negative thoughts and feelings. You could be protecting yourself and treating yourself by maybe you want to gain a greater sense of education on a particular subject that will give you more freedom. I am highly a big fan. I'm just going to put this out there because this is something that I resonate with. I find a lot of freedom becoming more educated in like the spirit realm and like going into all of that jazz and being more aware of the universe as a whole. That's like another example for you. So just understand if it benefits you in that way, in that internal part of yourself, that part of your mind, anything that is acting as the snake as we're talking about, you're going to want to get it because it is acting as a form of protection for you and helping you simultaneously. So look for that. You'll find it, you just basically want to like case by case situation, just look into yourself and be like, what's important to you right now? What's the sort of the snake as we're referring to that you need, so to speak. Now these last two cards are pretty interesting. They go together. So my spirit guide said that you're going to have many situations that pop up throughout the year where there's many opportunities to work with groups. Now, I asked if this is career-based, and they said it's financial-based. So it sounds like you're going to have potential to work with people and then that become profitable, but it doesn't necessarily only align with your career. My spirit guide is saying correct. Awesome. Thank you so much. So going forward, my spirit guide said, you're going to want to ask when you're about to enter a group with someone, do I want to work with them? And how will this positively benefit your world? Now, when we refer to your world, we're referring to like when you live your life and you do your day to day, as far as you're concerned, everything in it is reality. It's what's important to you. You know, there's a lot of truths and things going on in this world, but not everything is in a close enough proximity into your world. So it's not in your world. It's not benefiting your world. So we want to focus it on that mindset. Everything you're experiencing, your little hubbub, your daily routine, that type of thing. So the people that you potentially work with, it's like, is this going to benefit my world or if this is going to hinder it? Now, this is something really interesting because I did ask some more questions with my spirit guides just to double check. You don't have to absolutely love this group. I want to be clear about this. You don't have to, they shouldn't, if they cause you so much stress that it affects your world, then that would be a negative affecting of your world. That wouldn't benefit your world. But if you're like, I don't really love them, but I do respect how they approach work and situations, and I feel like we're all about to work on an idea that can bloom into something, then go with it. So understand that you will be working with a group, but you will have a couple different opportunities for different groups. So if you meet the first group and that group doesn't feel like it's going to benefit your world, as we talked about, in some kind of way, then that's not the group for you. Don't worry, another group will pop up, and then you pick the group that you vibe with. So again, it's a group of people coming together. You're a part of that group. This thing that you're working on could be career. It could be something that can turn into a career or turn into financial profit in some way. Trust the process, ask that core idea, and then that will let you know whether it's worth investing or not. So there you go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a comment, a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Let's get ready for our last group. Group number 4. Group number 4. Let's find out where to spend your money by looking at the cards. We've got Capricorn, 6 of Cups, the Chariot, King of Pentacles upright, the Strength card, and Knight of Pentacles. These 3 cards go perfectly with this card. Let me just look at everything. So I can get all of the info. Wow, this is going to be like quite the year for you. I mean that in a positive way. I didn't mean that in a spooky way. I meant just like expect dramatic positive changes. A lot of empowerment going on here. Okay, so let's get forward. Get forward. Let's get started with Capricorn over here. So this does talk about dangerous journeys. So we talked about the potential of misfortune, but I'm happy to say I don't see that happening for you. I do see it all working out. We're going to be talking about it. But the things that are popping up where to focus on are the things that are not only directly benefiting you, but they are also simultaneously helping you avoid or overcome those dangerous journeys, just to talk about that. As in like, and I want to just to put some food for thought out there so you're not just going on a fear front and worried of all these things that are going to happen to you. Sometimes when we do a good job taking care of ourselves, when things pop up, what would have previously been seen as this like big obstacle or problem or issue or something like that, it's just like nothing compared to the person we've become. And because we've spent time just like taking care of ourselves and preparing ourselves, when it pops up, we're like, huh, what? Oh, who cares? Compared to the way we might have really sought it out, had concern about it. So just keep that in mind. So don't look for it. Don't worry about it. We're not focusing on that. We're actually focusing on all the beneficial things that are going to be focusing your attention on. So in addition to that, it also talks about the idea of strength building and like well-being as a whole. And you'll see that repeated a lot. You're going to get really strong this year. You're going to really benefit from it, from not only enjoying it as a whole, but you're going to also enjoy how it helps you in case any like obstacles or anything pops up. So first, we want to talk about 6 of Cups. We're looking more at the number 6 as well as the representation by the crab. So 6 is a high vibrational number, and we're referring to that high vibrational feeling within the crab, because the crab has a soft inner nutrient, like their insides are nutrient filled and soft. You see what I'm saying there? And think of that high vibrational concept being protected by the hard outer shell of the crab. So again, we go back to the idea of protection. But what I want to talk about this is this representing you. You're the cute, high vibrational crab. So what I mean by that is there is a being inside you that is infinite, that is able to do anything, that is untouchable, is able to see the bigger picture, is emotionally intelligent and balanced, and able to easily connect to like that next level, that next way of approaching things. We can even get metaphysical here, so on and so forth. And you're kind of sort of putting any sort of investment into protecting that. So that means when a high vibrational concept like this pops up, anything that's kind of like poking that, not your vibe, like let's say you take the bus to work, and let's say the particular people you take the bus to work with, oh my goodness, not your vibe. They bring you down. Maybe they're just not a good group of people you're traveling with or whatever. And you make the investment to get a car because you're like, you know what? Yes, it's a lot of money, but to be able to travel by myself and be able, or you could do a bike, we could do something different, but you're like, it's worth it because I don't have to pick up those bad vibes. And the more I give myself that sense of protection, I am basically fostering and allowing those high vibes to come out stronger and stronger and stronger. So you're investing in things that can keep those good vibes building up and then strengthening from them building up. So anytime something is coming into your sort of space and you don't love those vibes, they don't make you happy, think, where can I put my money that will take me away from this situation, protect me from this situation? You get what I'm saying here. Moving forward, the Chariot. My spirit guide said you're going to invest in anything involving mobility. So this can involve like moving with a job. Wait, let me just double check. No, it will not involve moving with a job. Thank you for letting me know that. This is more, sorry, I'm glad my spirit guide's saying this. They more refer to things like, my spirit guide's like, if it somehow pops up and it involves investing in bicycles or buying like a bike for yourself, or maybe someone's like, I'm starting a bicycle business, invest that money. Again, we talk about like the idea of like buying a car, anything that involves the concept of mobility, whether it helps you be mobile or it just involves the concept of mobility, you're just going to put your money there. Super random, as you know, with these readings, I don't usually get like vague, but also very spot on, but very like out of the norm type of specifics, but they pop up and there you go. Anything to do with mobility, that'd be a great place to put your money there. King of Pentacles. This is really interesting too. So my spirit guide wanted to focus on the idea of the pharaoh itself, that they felt they were getting protection by being prepared for the afterlife. But I want to more focus on the concept of the idea of belief system here. So my spirit guide said this is a good time to understand like what are your beliefs as a whole, and then giving that more investment. Now, I want to be clear here. This is any belief system. So beliefs don't have to involve certain themes that involve, like if you don't believe in the idea of something bigger out there, we're not talking about that. Like that doesn't have to be your belief system. Maybe your belief system is like you think about like the greater picture and you're like, I believe like we're all here to like learn how to be good people, and like I just believe in being like a good person and trying to be as close as I can to the people I love. Then that's fine. Whatever is your but it's the greater picture. identifying what that is and giving that more attention. And that includes attention in investment. So by understanding, like, let's say you're like, you know what, I'm like really into spirituality and like I love it. Well, then explore it more. Like, spend that money, get those crystals, get whatever it is that is going to make you feel like you're understanding it better, learning it better, whatever that may be. Put your money there. You know what I mean? I do want to mention I have a Patreon talking about this stuff, but you don't have to do that. I'm just going to mention it, but you don't have to do that. But you get what I'm saying here. You figure out what it is that you are down with. And we're talking about belief system as in the greater picture of your entire life and like how you see life being lived and the greater goals of it all, whether it be for yourself or humanity as a whole, and then like putting more attention into that. Now, before we get into this last card, this is more of a beautiful mindset that I was saying, like, whoa, this is going to be a very empowering year. This is straight up a lion riding a lion. I want to make clear the importance and value of this. Normally, the strength card represents a human hanging out with a lion. And the metaphor going on in that card typically is this idea of somebody who's got a really good handle of the beast. Maybe the beast is a partner who's like really expressive when they, are figuring themselves out or whatever, and the other person's really mutable around that type of thing. Or maybe it's like the beast within inside them and they have figured out how to handle that part of themselves that feels like it gets out of control when they get like emotional or something like that. But you get what I'm saying. It's this idea of being able to successfully be in control of this thing that could seem uncontrollable or like dangerous. Well, this is you saying so imagine if the other lion was like some form of like something coming at you with intensity and you just surprising them and roaring right back and being like, back up. I am a force to be reckoned with. I am not going to be mutable to you. You're going to be mutable to me. You're going to be my ride out of here. We're going to be cool. We're going to be tough. Like I'm not going to deal with this anymore. It's a whole different, it's like the typical strength card, but like elevated, the next level, the high vibrational, the next big thing. So what I'm saying by this idea is this is just like a positive trajectory of like where you're headed and going, of this sort of empowerment you're going to be feeling. You're definitely going to be looking at situations and circumstances like no longer as somebody who has to kind of conform to what the situation is being thrown at them, but rising above by the different characteristics we were talking about and being able to be like, you know what, I feel like I know myself well enough, I don't have to take this anymore. And being able to start a new kind of age and version of yourself by stepping into this empowerment. But the last thing to put attention into is over here with the Knight of Pentacles, and specifically my spirit guide wanted to focus on the idea that this is a white horse. So in the spirit realm, white horses of any single kind, but specifically all white horses, are healers. And so this is you focusing intensely on healing yourself. Whatever it is that's going to get you there, that's going to make you feel like you can finally let go of the past, that's going to really deeply help you stop feeling like, oh, well, this frustrates me, or I don't like this because this thing used to happen before, or because of this is how I respond like this. What's going to make you stop saying that? What's going to make you see the world and how you interact with it as the version of you are today? So how can you receive that healing? How can you get that help that you need? And you can get this from any form that you feel most connected with, but seeking it out, doing something actively about it, and then growing from it in order to become this very strong, amazing person that you are. So keep in mind, though, I do want to point out this mirroring concept over here. I find a lot of people who are like very high vibrational tend to get kind of caught up in the muck of the world, or the bad vibes, maybe people have sensed that in you and wanted to take advantage of you in some sort of way, and it can kind of dull their light. But I want to be clear, your light can never be dulled. You're just not as attuned to your light as you normally are. It's still powering just fine. And this is what we talked about, the protection, the idea of like it growing by being able to focus on it more because you're not so distracted by the bad vibes of other people. You get what I'm saying here? So when we talk about looking in deep, healing so that you get the removal of the things that were holding you back from that inner light, and then protecting it. So beautiful. Love that. I'm very excited for you. You look kind of intense in a good way. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I'm very excited for you and your very fortunate year. And I would love if you left a comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Goodbye.